The Plumed Serpent. The Plumed Serpent is a 1926 political novel by D.H.Lawrence. Lawrence conceived the idea for the novel while visiting Mexico in 1923. And its themes reflect his experiences there. The novel was first published by Martin Secker's firm in the United Kingdom and Alfred Knopf in the United States. An early draft was published as Quetzalcoatl by Black Swan Books in 1995. The novel's plot concerns Kate Leslie, an Irish tourist who visits Mexico after the Mexican Revolution. She encounters Don Cipriano, a Mexican general who supports a religious movement, the Men of Quetzalcoatl, founded by his friend Don Ramón Carrasco. Within this movement, Cipriano is identified with Huitzilopochtli and Ramón with Quetzalcoatl. Kate eventually agrees to marry Cipriano, while the Men of Quetzalcoatl, with the help of a new president, bring about an end to Christianity in Mexico, replacing it with Quetzalcoatl worship. The novel received negative reviews. Commentators have characterized it as fascist and an attack on Christianity, and seen it as expressing Lawrence's fears about the decline of the white race and belief in women's submission to men. It has also been interpreted as an expression of his personal political ambition, and as having homoerotic aspects. Critics have disagreed about its literary merit. Some have found it inferior to his other work, but others have considered it his greatest accomplishment as a novelist. An assessment shared by Lawrence himself. The novel received attention in Mexico, where its early reception was positive, and it was praised by the poet Octavio Paz. However, this response was later displaced by Mexican post-revolutionary nationalism and post-colonial studies. The Plumed Serpent has been compared to works of Lawrence such as the novels Kangaroo, 1923, and Lady Chatterley's Lover, 1928. And the essays Sketches of Etruscan Places, and Other Italian Essays, 1932. As well as to the work of the poet T.S. Eliot. Plot and summary. Shortly after Easter, a group of tourists visiting Mexico, including Kate Leslie, an Irish woman, and her cousin, Owen Reese, an American, attend a bullfight in Mexico City. Leslie is thrilled at the prospect of witnessing the fight, but later leaves in disgust after witnessing the violence suffered by a horse and a bull. As she leaves, she encounters Don Cipriano, a Mexican general, and invites him to meet her. Later, at a party in Tlacolula which she attends with Reese, Leslie listens to discussions of changes brought about by the Mexican Revolution, and encounters a major law, who states that there is a rumor that the recently elected Mexican president, Socrates Tomas Montes, of the Labor Party, will be prevented from taking office by the military. She also meets Cipriano's friend, Don Ramón Carrasco. Soon afterwards, she reads a newspaper report. The gods of antiquity return to Mexico, describing an incident in the village of Sayula, in which a man arose from a lake, then announced to a group of women that the Aztec gods, Quetzalcoatl and Tlaloc, are ready to return to Mexico. Reese returns to the United States, but Leslie decides to stay in Mexico, wanting to leave Mexico City because of rising social tensions. She travels to Sayula with the encouragement of Cipriano. She learns of a religious movement, the Men of Quetzalcoatl, and, upon making inquiries about it, is told that it was founded by Ramón, who is suspected of having political ambitions. Leslie begins to sympathize with Ramón, believing him to be a great man. Receiving an invitation from Ramón, she meets him and his wife Doña Carlota, who tells her that he wants to be worshipped as a god, and to destroy the belief of Mexicans in both Jesus and the Virgin Mary. Objectives she deplores. Cipriano tells Leslie that he wants to marry her and make her a goddess in a pantheon of deities alongside himself and Ramón, explaining that this will help Ramón. Leslie at first rejects these proposals and considers leaving Mexico. Meanwhile, the unpopular actions of the new president provoke a rebellion, and the church moves against Ramón, denouncing him as an antichrist. Cipriano continues to support Ramón, despite being obliged to defend the Mexican government. Ramón tries to remain politically neutral. Cipriano arranges a meeting between Ramón and a bishop. Ramón tells Cipriano that every people in the world needs its own savior, and that the Teutonic world should return to the worship of Thor and Wotan, just as other nations should return to the worship of their ancient gods. When Ramón and Cipriano meet the bishop, Ramón suggests to him that the Catholic Church should embrace all gods, including Quetzalcoatl. The bishop rejects this. Ramón tells the bishop that he intends to remove images from a church in Sayula, burn them, and replace them with images of Quetzalcoatl. The bishop warns him against this, but Ramón remains firm in his plans, and tells the bishop to advise his superiors of them. Ramón tries to encourage Kate to marry Cipriano, but she still has doubts. He tells her of the dissatisfying nature of his relationship with Carlotta, saying that the two of them never met in our souls, and that her faith in Jesus and his role in the Men of Quetzalcoatl now makes this impossible. He explains to Kate that, for him, Quetzalcoatl is a symbol of the best a man may be. Soon afterwards, a priest is attacked after preaching a sermon against Ramón and Quetzalcoatl, and later threatened with death. Priests denounce the Men of Quetzalcoatl. The church in Sayula is closed, and later entered by Ramón and a group of his followers, who remove images of Jesus, Mary, and several saints. The images are taken away and burned. These events are followed by further incidents of violence and unrest. Kate travels to Jamultpec, where she meets Ramón, and tells him that she approves of the removal of images from the church in Sayula. He encourages her to support his movement. When an attempt is made to assassinate Ramón, Kate becomes involved in the conflict, and he afterwards credits her intervention with saving his life. One of Ramón's followers tells Kate that priests and the Knights of Cortez are to blame for the attack. Kate meets Ramón and Cipriano. Ramón tells her that just as he will be identified with Quetzalcoatl, Cipriano will be identified with Huitzilopochtli. Kate accepts Cipriano as Huitzilopochtli, and they are married by Ramón. Afterwards, Kate returns to Sayula, where she learns that the church has been turned into a temple of Quetzalcoatl. A religious meeting presided over by Ramón and Cipriano is interrupted by Carlotta, who calls on God to take Ramón's life. Carlotta collapses and is taken to bed. She subsequently dies. Worship of Quetzalcoatl continues to spread through Mexico. Cipriano wants the president to declare it the official religion of Mexico, but Ramón disagrees, believing that it should be allowed to spread of its own accord. Cipriano gives Kate the name Malintzi. Ramón later marries a young woman named Teresa. Kate tells first Teresa, then Cipriano, that she wants to leave Mexico. Later, an attempt is made to assassinate the president, and Mexico is taken to the point of religious war. In Mexico City, the Men of Quetzalcoatl turn a church into a Quetzalcoatl temple. The Archbishop of Mexico is arrested before he and his followers can attempt to retake the building for the Catholic Church. Eventually, the president has the Catholic Church made illegal and orders Quetzalcoatl worship made the official religion of Mexico. All churches are closed, and the Archbishop is deported. Kate and Cipriano are legally married. Ramón tells Kate to tell the Irish that they should follow their traditional gods and heroes. Kate is left conflicted about whether to leave Mexico or not. End of the summary. Thank you.